welcome to the video. I was never sure I wanted to do a video on this subject, but a couple of things triggered it for me to do this week. One is it's an important anniversary for me, and I had a blood test, the results of which I got a couple of days ago. But also Sir Chris Hoy, the British Olympian cyclist, absolute powerhouse of a human being, has gone public in the last 2 to 3 weeks saying that he's got stage 4 terminal cancer, prostate cancer. And I'm in my 60s now, and I'm thinking Chris Hoy is not going to enjoy that 15 or so years that I've enjoyed. And it's very sad for him and for his family. But it's an important anniversary, and I won't go into the gory details in this particular video, but I want to share a couple of clips that I did. One was about 3 months short of 10 years, so early 2015. A video that my brother made with me, and I provide a bit of background in that, and then I'm also going to show a little clip of what I did, a little video that up to this point has remained private. It's about about 5 years ago, and I'll talk about now and what my experience has told me and what advice I might give to other men. So if you're interested in this troublesome topic, then watch this clip. Well, I was always very vigilant because my uncle tragically died in his 60s of prostate cancer, so I started getting PSA tests from the age of 50, and everything was going fine. After about 5 years, I had a raised level of PSA, and it needed further investigation. Well, I had a number of investigative procedures that were in truth a little bit uncomfortable, but perfectly tolerable. Because what was most important is that we found out what the problem truly was. And I found that I'd developed prostate cancer. Well, once I realized that I had prostate cancer, I did a lot of research on the internet and spoke to a couple of people who I trusted and I knew had knowledge in the area. And what was evident was that if you catch prostate cancer early, the success rate is actually quite high. My research brought me to the Birmingham Prostate Clinic, where I met a really experienced surgeon called Mr. Alan Doherty, and he's specialised in prostate cancer nerve-sparing surgery. Well, one of the things about prostate cancer is that it's normally associated with elderly men, but some younger men get it. And for younger men, it's not just about keeping the person alive, it's actually about preserving quality of life. And so that's why nerve sparing as a method of surgery is particularly useful for younger men. What was most important for me was that I was able to get cured of the cancer and have a good quality of life after surgery. For me, so far so good. I've had the operation, I'm 3 months out, I feel fit, I feel healthy, and I'm optimistic about the future. So there you go. Just over 10 years ago I was diagnosed with prostate cancer. And as I mentioned in the clip there, that my uncle had died of it, and I was there when he died, and he was quite typically a stoic male, didn't want to go to the doctor, kept everything very, very quiet, probably until it was too late, and he died in his mid-late 60s. And being aware of that and being kind of physically similar type to the way he was, my age and so on, I thought it was a good idea to go to the doctor and request a PSA test, which is the best thing we've got readily available as a surrogate form of screening for men for prostate cancer. And the deal is that basically you don't take a single reading, you kind of get a baseline reading, and then you get another repeat blood test, as I did maybe every 12 months, and to see if there's any anomaly. So I had a little trend forming, and then it spiked. Something was up, something was quite significant. And that then triggered a whole lot of investigations and biopsies and so on and so forth. And yeah, I have prostate cancer. And I had the operation to remove my prostate at the age of 55, and it was well, if you've had an operation, a serious operation, you'll know that there's a recovery period afterwards that things are very, very uncomfortable. And that this one was absolutely no different. I had to wear a catheter for a couple of weeks, and it was really just a kind of a bit of a mess, really. But you know, you soon pick up you get over a recovery curve, and then the recovery accelerates, and then before you know it, as in my case, I'm back on the bike. Hence the video. And one of the things that I learned during that period was just amazing for me. When you've had a scrape with death, even though that death might have been some time into the future, the world has this the world is in vivid technicolor. It's just really quite incredible. Just waking up every morning and just being fascinated by the smallest thing. You know, the birds, the leaves on the trees, the color of the sky, all that sort of stuff is just like, wow. And that feeling stayed with me for several weeks or a couple of months. And I'm told that's completely normal. That's what happens. And then gradually you slip back into being comfortably numb once again. But yeah, it was an incredible time. And I was lucky in that they removed the prostate for me and found that there were what they called, is it good margins or something like that. There is within the prostate gland that's about the size of a walnut. There were some cancerous cells inside it, but it hadn't got to the edge yet, because once it gets to the edge, it comes out into the lymph nodes and then spreads around the body, and that's where Chris Hoy presumably is now. And it hadn't done that for me, so I didn't have any, apart from that infection, I didn't have any real problems to deal with. And then afterwards, the joy of putting it behind me was a thrill, of course. And then I kind of got on with my life. Now, for 10 years now, I've had annual blood tests, sometimes twice a year, when there's been tested for something else. I'll just check the PSA one more time. And it's been hovering around what they term undetectable levels ever since. And 10 years on, that's where I am. It's still undetectable. So my surgeon said to me after I had the operation is that we normally track PSA for about 5 years, and after which, if there's no difference, we can declare you as being cured. And then 2 or 3 years in, I had another conversation and said, well, actually, they've moved that out to 10 years. So I've had this cloud hanging over me for 10 years. But things are good. Things are good. And my life has not changed to any significant extent. Everything is fine as far as I'm concerned. And I'm just as active as I ever was. And the choice I had was to let the cancer grow ever so slowly, which it normally does, and have an operation or some treatment a few years down the line. Maybe better treatments might be available. But I figured at the age of 55, when I was strong and fit, that I had a better chance of a full recovery and then getting on with my life afterwards. So So 5 years in, I made this video. Yesterday I got a call from the Birmingham Prostate Clinic and reconfirming that my PSA annual test from December came in at 0.01, which is believed to be, or it's considered to be, undetectable, which is excellent news. But I did see my surgeon in December, where he'd already given me that result, and it was 12th of December, and it was just past the 5th anniversary of my prostate surgery. And he said to me that he's discharging me, so as far as he's concerned, I'm cured, and the chances of any nasty stuff coming back in that area, he said, between 1 in 500 and 1 in 1,000. Nevertheless, over Christmas and the early part of the new year, I was starting to feel tingling in my pelvic floor area, which extended to a burning sensation, which is, if you've got a prostate, that's not good news. But there is something pressing on the nerve, and hence why I decided to go back to the prostate clinic, at least by telephone, and say, can you just double check that the result you gave me in December was in fact this year's result and not the previous year's result, which I'm happy to say is proving the case. But there's something about when you've had serious illness, particularly of the nature I'm talking about, you never really feel as though you're completely cured. Instead, every twinge, pain, ache, bump is potentially catastrophic. So I'm beginning to wonder whether this is the way I'm going to live now, where I'm going to be thinking that every time there's a problem of some sort, like I suggested, an ache or a twinge, that I'm going to be rushing off to a specialist looking for confirmation that it's not the end just around the corner. Plays on your mind, this stuff. You don't ever, you might get cured physically, but I've come to the conclusion after 5 years is that the prospect of being cured psychologically is probably going to be beyond me. So in that video I talked about the psychological scars, and one of the things that being vigilant about your health has become very, very important to me. And even though I haven't got like PTSD or anything like that, just having had that experience makes me, and it's one of the reasons why I do this video series called My Life with Music, because it made me really interested in, not because I'm not nostalgic. I'm not nostalgic in the slightest. I don't listen to music for nostalgia reasons. I don't hanker to want to go back to old lives, old relationships, nothing like that. Everything's great in that regard for me in the present day. And I've kind of always, well, not always, but on into, I guess, in my 20s and 30s, I started to develop this mindset, which was, I'm just going to go think about today and where I'm going to go next. And so I haven't really got a nostalgic bone in my body, but I did want to reconnect with my with the memories that I kind of just discarded. And I thought, no, let's try and get a big holistic understanding of what my life has been because there's a story there. Like in every single one of us, there's a story there. So it's kind of part of the reason why I do this video series on my life with music, is not just to pick out the top 20 albums of the year, but just to kind of just reflect on, yeah, what was I doing then? Okay, I can see where this journey is going, and now I can see it in retrospect. So I'm kind of rationalizing, or just trying to understand that story a little bit better. And that's of interest to me. It might be of interest to my children. And as a shared experience, it might be interesting to some people who might be going through a similar experience. So I'm good. 10 years on, I'm good. Psychologically, I'm good. But there's a few things I wanted to say in terms of advice I'd want to give to other men who might be concerned about it. And I'm not providing any medical advice here, so don't worry about that sort of stuff. But I made a few notes here. My advice to other men: 1, acknowledge the risk of prostate cancer, especially for black men. There's a higher risk for black men. We don't know why. I think the scientists don't know why. It's like an 8 times greater risk in black men to get prostate cancer. If it's in the family, don't wait. Just be aware of it and try and understand it, and try and then go to your GP, your general practitioner, your doctor, and say, I think it might be an idea for me to get a routine PSA test, a blood test, because I'd like to understand if there are any changes. Now, if you had none of this in the family, then, just go ahead and live your life as normal. But if you've got a situation where it's in the family, it would make sense to me. It certainly was my course of action. The doctors are sometimes reluctant because men sometimes, if they get a dodgy reading, they sometimes panic and demand all sorts of interventionist diagnostic procedures that have risks in themselves. So doctors are a little bit, they tend to push back, but my doctor was absolutely great because I laid out the rationale for doing it. It's in the family. I'd just like to track how things are going just to see if there was going to be a problem. So yeah, say you just want a baseline. Don't fear the finger. There is a finger procedure, but men are really reluctant to do it. It's over in seconds. It doesn't hurt. It's not embarrassing, but occasionally the doctor might have to do an inspection. If you suspect, or your doctor suspects, that you've got some of the bad stuff, then choose the surgeon carefully. If for old men, very old men, if they have prostate cancer, the surgeon will, it's my phrase, it's not a medical phrase, will cut them open and gouge out everything. All the lymph nodes, the nerves and everything else, and then the men end up with incontinence and a very, very difficult way of living. So I was really lucky. I had this friend, a really good friend, who had knowledge of this, not through personal experience, but he'd worked with people with prostate cancer. And he was able to steer me to an expert who steered me to a couple of well-renowned surgeons. And I interviewed them both, and I chose one. And both of them, using different methods, followed what was called the nerve-sparing procedure. So the operation, instead of being relatively quick, is a long one, but it's super intricate, and they preserve the nerves so everything downstairs continues to work. So that is critically important. And it's also, like I was suggesting earlier, I think it's really important to go into any sort of operation in great health otherwise. Strong, fit, well-rested, readying yourself for recovery. So I spoke to a friend. So don't put off talking to people. I spoke to this friend. I spoke to a couple of other people. I searched the internet, did some research. A friend of mine did some research on my behalf as well. Talk to people who've got some experience, because they will guide you around the questions to ask your doctor, things to consider, and so on and so forth. They're not experts. I'm not an expert, obviously. I've just had a particular life experience. What else? Just a couple of final things, really. you know, I'll never forget my own experience. I think, as I've said something a little bit earlier, it's kind of scarred me, but kind of in a good way, because it's made me more appreciative. I'm more forgiving. I don't have any serious regrets. I look back on relationships that I had with a kind of, you know, a bit more of a warmth and a forgiveness, and just acknowledge that every single one of us is just muddling through this life as best as we possibly can. And occasionally, like me in this particular occasion, have a setback, but, you know, a positive outlook, not born through blind hope, but more through doing homework, understanding things better, talking to people, building a support network. As if you've got one, use it. It's been, in some respects, a blessing for me, really, because it's kind of changed me and I think in a positive way. Yeah, I think it's important that you take control of the process, take control of your health, so you are not afraid to make decisions. And it's kind of how I ended that earlier video. One or two people have said that I've been brave to go through with the operation, but I don't think I've been brave. I think I've just been decisive. I've done my research, I've had my PSA checked, and because of that, I'm past one of the lucky ones. We've caught it early. My message to other men is to take responsibility for your own health. Listen to your bodies and get checked. So thanks for watching this. If anybody wants any advice or wants to, you know, leave a comment or get in touch, talk about themselves or a member of the family, you know, I'm always available to have a chat with people. I got absolutely no hesitation in sharing more detail of what happened to me, and so I think I'll leave it there, really. As I say, I was a bit reluctant to make this video, but, you know, as somebody who is on YouTube and is not really being hesitant to talk about this stuff, I just thought it's worth sharing to encourage other men to take their health that little bit more seriously, and don't wait for things to happen. Take charge of it. Anyway, I'll see you in the next video, which will be a music video. See you soon.